Aloha. Welcome to the 42nd
Aloha.
annual welcome to the 42nd annual Hawaii International Film Festival presented by Halekulani and our presentation of Swallow, which is part of our Spotlight on Taiwan section presented by the Ministry of Culture of Taiwan and Taiwan Academy in Los Angeles. My name is Anderson Lay and I'm the artistic director for Hiff. Before we begin our conversation, the team at Hiff would like to acknowledge the occupation of ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the native Hawaiian people, the Kanaka Maoli. We honor the Aina itself and the generations who steward with much aloha and gratitude. Now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mai Nakanishi, the director of Swallow, for a brief conversation about the film. Hi, Mai.
Hi, aloha.
Aloha. How are you?
Uh, I'm very good. It's the 31st in Japan, so I guess it's a happy Halloween
Happy
as
Halloween.
well.
Yes.
Happy
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween. I know you're very busy and that you wear many hats, not only as a filmmaker, but also you work in film festivals as well. I met you some years ago at a genre film festival, and you yourself started a film festival in Japan, right? Um,
Right.
you talk about that really quickly?
Yeah, that was, I think, back in 2013 when I first launched a film festival dedicated to showcasing works by female genre filmmakers. I run the festival for about 5 years single-handedly, but because of COVID, I haven't been able to organize it for the past 4 years. But maybe next year, I would like to organize the event again. Yeah, so I really love the genre, especially the horror genre, and I really wanted to encourage my fellow filmmakers, female filmmakers, to really be passionate and motivated about their work. So that's the reason behind the festival. And I myself became a genre filmmaker. So I hope the network will really grow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mhm.
So it's interesting because you are based in Tokyo, right? You're a
Mhm.
Japanese
Yeah,
filmmaker and whatnot, and I met you in Korea, and then
right.
but this film Swallow is Taiwanese. So can you talk about kind of the inspiration on the film itself? Because originally it wasn't supposed to be set in Taiwan, right? So
Right. I originally was going to shoot the film in Korea, but the project got canceled. So I kind of just kept the script for a while. Then, while I was doing a film residency in Korea, my Taiwanese classmate, who's a producer, came to me and said, "Oh, I love your work. And there's a short film grant in Taiwan that maybe we can try applying." So we decided to team up and apply for the grant. But there was a condition where we have to shoot the film in this specific city called Kaohsiung. Um,
yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
in
so I
southern
had
Taiwan,
to,
right?
right. So I really had to change the stories, the setting, and pretty much everything. But I just wanted to keep the concept. And luckily, I had a chance to visit Taiwan while I was developing the script for a film festival. So while I was in Taipei, I visited this street called Huaxi Street, where they have this special restaurant that serves a very unique local delicacy. And I
Oh,
can't tell you what it is
okay.
because
Yeah, yeah.
you know when you watch the film.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it really aroused my curiosity about that local, delicacy. And I did a research and I found out that the food is that special ingredients for the dish is good for skin irritations and liver
Mhm.
problems.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I thought that's such an interesting element to tell a story about human obsession with like physical beauty, because
Yes.
I've always been fascinated
Mhm.
with people, like how far people would go to achieve youthful look and
Mhm.
physical beauty.
Fountain of Youth,
um
right? So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly. So I combined those together, and that's how Swallow was born. And yeah, we got the grant, so
that's great.
though that's where everything started. Thank you. Yeah.
So I mean, like you said, you had to switch location, switch countries. So
Mhm.
you also have to change a lot of things. How was the process of casting? Because like the cast was really amazing. I assume a lot of it was done online remotely, or did you? Yeah.
Yeah. So all the audition, the process was done remotely through video and Zoom meetings.
Hmm.
But when I was casting Mimi, I saw Han-Ning, who played Mimi in Swallow. I first saw her on Netflix, Detention, the
Oh,
series.
Detention series, yes.
Yeah, so she was one of the main characters, and I was amazed by her screen presence. And although she didn't have much acting experience, she started out her career as a dancer. So yeah, so she didn't have an acting background, but she seemed to be really passionate about acting. And through our meetings, she learned a lot. And yeah, I knew from the beginning like she was the only one that can play Mimi. Yeah, so that's how we cast it, Han-Ning as Mimi. And Shulan, who is played by Dai Lin, she's a veteran actress already. But when I met her through Zoom meeting, she studied really well, and she seemed to be the living Shulan already. So I didn't I didn't really have to give much instructions.
Hmm.
And she was already Shulan. So yeah, so that wasn't too hard for me to decide about casting. And of course, Vera Chen, who's playing Annie, she's like the head of the gourmet club, the
Hmm.
owner of the gourmet club. She's been in a lot of Taiwanese films, and she's nominated for Golden Horse Awards many times, and she's known as a scream queen in Taiwan too. So yeah, I think all those three actresses fitted the character so well
Hmm.
that what I envisioned in my head, all those characters, I feel like they came alive.
Hmm.
So the process was it was really interesting and very fascinating experience for me, even though it was done remotely.
Mm. And so everything was shot in Kaohsiung, Kaohsiung,
Kaohsiung and Tainan, that's the
on
northern
Tainan.
part of
Got it.
Taiwan. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
So, I mean, because this is fairly new, I think I think it was still when you produced it, it was still COVID, I assume, right? So, and Taiwan was very known around the world for being very, very strict.
Strict.
Yes, when it comes to the protocols and whatnot. But how did you? What was the? I mean, I'm sure because I mean, you were in quarantine a lot, I assume. I mean, when you entered
Hmm.
to shoot the film, right? So
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
sure you had very limited days to shoot the film. So maybe can you
Right.
talk about a little bit about that?
Yeah. So, yeah, as you said, they had a really strict protocols and regulations. So I had absolute isolation for 15 days.
Oh, wow.
So I stayed in a motel. I couldn't leave the room for 15 days. So that was quite challenging for me, but at the same time was quite exciting because I've never done like quarantine before.
Okay.
And I could just I could just, focus on script and do production. So that wasn't too bad. Um, but I could see outside from the windows, and
Mm.
I felt a bit sad because I'm in Taiwan, but I can't really go outside, but I can see people walking down
Ah,
the street and
yeah.
so um yeah, so that was quite a new experience for me. And also a visa. Usually I don't have to apply for a visa to visit
Uh,
Taiwan,
but because of
but because
the
of
protocols,
yeah,
yeah.
because of the COVID, I had to. And the days I could stay in Taiwan was actually 40, wait, it was limited to 45 days.
And
And if
15
I
of those days were in quarantine.
yeah, so it was super limited to begin with. And I could have stayed longer if we got the work permit, some sort of permit that will allow me to stay for like more than 3 months.
Yeah.
But we didn't have the time to do that. So I only had 30 days to do rest of the pre-production and shooting. And actually apply for special visas to extend my stay. So I think total I stayed in Taiwan for 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was able to finish shooting within
Okay.
that limited time. Yeah.
Right. Was it did it, I mean, I'm sure it really tested yourself as a filmmaker because of the very limited time and days and whatnot.
Mhm.
But we're just talking about like, so when you were in quarantine, did you have basically just a lot of Zoom meetings with the cast,
During
production people,
yeah,
crew?
during quarantine, yes, that was the only thing I could do. So Zoom and just phone calls and
Yeah,
but everybody really wanted to see me and talk to me in person
sure.
because it's really hard to, communicate about your visions and
Yeah.
logistics and everything. So it was very challenging. Yeah.
Wow. So when you got out of quarantine and you went into production, it must have been very long days because you would need to fit
Mm.
everything in, so but how was the how did you adapt to kind of like realize your vision on the screen? How did you adapt?
Well, I usually prepare very detailed storyboard and lookbook and mood board
Mm,
because I've been shooting outside of Japan. It's interesting because I'm Japanese. Well, now I'm based in Tokyo, but I usually shoot outside of Japan.
right.
So I speak a little bit of Korean, but I don't speak Chinese.
Yeah,
So I knew the language barrier will be a
right.
challenge for
Yeah.
us. So I wanted to make sure that I will prepare a visual communication tool so
Mm,
that I can communicate all the aspects of my
okay.
visions to the crew. And the DP, who didn't speak English, he really wanted to communicate to me in English. So he said before I came to Taiwan, he studied English through watching Friends, the drama.
Yes. Yeah.
So I found that very cute. But he was really willing to communicate, whatever through whatever ways like Google Translate and
Right.
whatnot. So it wasn't it seemed to be a challenge in the beginning, but because of the visuals that I prepared, and he also had his own mood board, and I
Uh,
realized that we're pretty much on the same page with the visuals. So yeah, it was really helpful when we adapt to shooting and production. And also that goes same for the art team, because of all the preparation that I had and they had. It was really easy for us to communicate and just get
yeah.
onto the production.
I mean, just like you as a genre filmmaker, you love horror, you love like thrillers and whatnot. Um, and to see, I mean, just genre cinema in Taiwan is so good right now. I think like
Right.
in a
Yeah.
way it's like, it's very hard to see that um kind of really good genre cinema coming out of Japan right now. Not like how it was like 20 years ago or something like that. You know,
Mm,
it's
mhm.
like it's like what so I mean, was it when you're like hiring crew, hiring staff, did you, because genre cinema is very much you need to know it. You need to know it,
Yeah.
like you need to be a fan of it because of the language barrier and whatnot. But did you, what's your hiring process like? Did you look at people like the DP, for example, his work, or maybe did you ask him what kind of films he liked, or You know, I mean, you like the actresses you had one of them was a scream queen herself. So what was the, kind of like process when you as the director decide to hire, you know, the right people for your to realize your vision?
That's a really good question. Um, for me, it the importance of the expertise or knowledge of genre films isn't too important, but if they have issues working on a genre film set, I probably won't be able to work with them. But
Mhm.
if they enjoy watching genre films,
Right.
if they're interested in working on a genre film project, I am happy to work with them. And for casting, something that I cared a lot about is whether the actress can act fear or looks really terrified. Because I think that's really important when you cast somebody for horror films, because the audience can feel fear through the actor's facial expressions or the acting. So I think it weighs a lot how the actress can portray fear through her acting. So that was something that mattered a lot for me when I cast somebody in horror films. And I guess for crew, I did check all the past work and DP reels of the DPs, the potential DPs. And I guess I went with Ashin, the DP for Swallow, because I really liked his camera movement and the aesthetics he created, because he worked on a short anthology horror TV series, and
Mhm.
he did DP for one of the segments. And
Okay.
yeah, the atmosphere he created was quite interesting. It didn't feel like a Taiwanese horror. It felt a bit like Spanish horror,
Mm,
the tone, and that was really fascinating for me. So I thought Swallow will be kind of a hybrid. It will have a Japanese and Taiwanese element,
mhm.
but it's also my homage to Dario Argento's
Yeah,
Suspiria
yeah,
as well. So
definitely.
I wanted somebody, yeah, I wanted somebody that can, I guess, create that, the tone that
Mhm.
I was going for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you
Mhm.
think very globally. You're not only a filmmaker but a programmer. I see you at the festival circuit. I never, I don't think we've ever met in Japan. We've only met someplace else in another country altogether. Like it's like you worked in, I think your short film before Swallow was shot in Korea, right? So
Right.
yeah, so it's like now Swallows in Taiwan. Um, and I know you've had aspirations to maybe shoot something in the States, and whatnot. So I mean, you as a kind of like you see yourself as a global filmmaker. Do you see yourself making something in Japan? I mean, I hope so, but because
Yeah.
yeah. So, but what are some of the ideas if you want to review anything of what you want to do next, or maybe what is on your plate for the next couple of years?
Okay, so I'm writing a script for my feature length film right now, which is loosely based on the short film that I shot in Korea.
Hmm.
70% of the script is done, so hopefully I get to finish it maybe early next year or by the end of this year. And I also have a script set in Japan. So I hope I can shoot that. I can realize that project. But for me, mm, I think the shooting location doesn't really matter, as long as I get inspirations from that country, find some stories or elements that's important to tell. I really love to make stories anywhere, everywhere. Right now, I guess I'm Pan-Asian focused career, but as you said, I really love to shoot in States, and even in Nordic countries, you know, I love to challenge myself to do the storytelling everywhere in the world. But for me, my main goal is to finish my first feature. Yeah,
Well, good luck to that. Good luck
thank
on your
you.
endeavor, and I hope hopefully you will resume your duties as a festival director and resume your horror film festival, your genre film festival in Japan. What is it called again? Scream Queen?
Scream Queen Film Fest Tokyo.
Scream Queen Film Festival. Okay, that's a perfect title. And a
Thank
great
you.
mission to really really promote women filmmakers in the genre film and genre film genre film in general, right? So that's
Yeah,
great. Well,
thank
thank you
you.
again, Mai, for joining us. I know you're very busy. That was a great discussion today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having our film, and thank you
Really,
for the opportunity to do this Q&A. It's really great. Thank you.
thank you. And then I also want to give a special mahalo to all of our Hiff sponsors, board of directors, Hiff Ohana members, volunteers, interns, and supporters. If you're able, please consider donating to Hiff. Every dollar counts towards keeping Hiff presenting great films like this in the future. Learn more and donate at hiff.org/donate. A reminder that this film, Swallow, is also eligible for the Hawaii News Now Audience Award. To participate in the Audience Award voting, please cast your vote online at watch.hiff.org or on our streaming apps by voting with the 5 stars on the film's page. Make sure to vote, and mahalo to Hawaii News Now for their support. For up-to-date information on additions to our program and the full schedule of films, events, Hiff talk story sessions, and Q&As, please visit us at our website, hiff.org. On behalf of the Hawaii National Film Festival, mahalo nui loa. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mahalo.